yeah, it was a really cool experience. When I saw Isla, when they put her on me, I was just like, what is this thing? What's good, you guys? Welcome back to the Vida Lopez YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name's Kelly, and I had a daughter 2 years ago. Her name is Isla. So I wanted to go ahead and do this story time, my labor and delivery story, because I was actually able to gather some data from the comments you guys were leaving over the past 2 years, and I wanted to answer some questions that you guys had. And I know I did in the comments, but there's like a lot of comments, and I am not expecting people to go and like try to find the answers to everything, even though some of you guys do. But I thought it'd be a good idea to make this video so that you guys can get all the questions that you wanted answered. Or if you watch this video first and then watch my labor and delivery video, you'll get a better idea of what's going on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so it all started Thursday, December 14th, 2017. So I went to my medical office, and my doctor swept my membranes. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's I keep doing this 2-finger motion because that's kind of like what she did. She took her fingers and just like in my vagina, like swept side to side and like gave it a lot of pressure, you know, like side to side and up and down and all that to kind of loosen things up and try to jumpstart my labor. So that doesn't work all the time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And she was like, let's just see what happens. But if you don't, she told me, if you don't want to end up being induced, this is a good idea to at least try it, because if you try it then and it works, then I won't have to get induced, because I'll go into labor on my own. I did that, and she told me that if my cramping started, like if I start getting any cramps, then that's normal, because I just got like my membrane stripped or swept or whatever, to not worry. But if it does get worse, then go ahead and like give labor and delivery a call. Just so you know that that's not a very comfortable thing to do. She was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, getting your membrane swept or stripped, that's not very comfortable. And all I can imagine was like a turkey being prepped for Thanksgiving, like your hand all in it. That's exactly how I felt. I went to that doctor's visit, and then right after that I had to go get measured, and they set you up on a machine and they monitor you just to see like if you need any extra assistance or medical attention, you know what I mean? Like they wanted to make sure before I went into labor that my heart rate and the baby's heart rate was, you know, all dandy, I guess. Everything looked good, and she asked if it was the midwife who did that. The midwife asked me if I had any more questions, and I was like, well, I kind of feel like I have like contractions right now. She was like, oh, well, cramping is normal, but contractions are a little different. How long has it been going on? And I told her, well, actually it just started right after I got my membrane stripped, but it's kind of like getting worse. Not like worse, like it's bad, but like it's strengthening, I guess you could say. My appointment when I got my membrane strip was like at 11, so by the time I was through with the midwife, when she had the monitor on me and all that, it was about 1 o'clock, and I just went home and took a nap. I still felt the cramps, but it wasn't like, it was just like period cramps. It wasn't like enough to like do anything about. And then as the day progressed, like something just like kind of, I felt like it was just like, okay, those were period type cramps, and then now these are getting worse. So I went to go get something to eat, and I was in the In-N-Out burger drive-thru, and I was like, dang, these are getting really, like, this is different. Like I've never felt this before. And I had my aunt and everyone calling me, and they're like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I have these contractions, but you know, I'm good. And you know, I have a really high pain tolerance, so I wasn't really sure what to do. Like, is this like you know, for someone who can't tolerate pain, like, are these bad? Or I didn't know how to measure the pain. So I was just like, I'm fine, you know. And by nighttime, I was like, you know, tapping my foot whenever the contractions would come. And I was like, okay, I think this is getting a little worse. Like, I feel like whenever you start doing some kind of motion, you know, whenever you get the contractions, when they're starting to strengthen, that's when you kind of know. And when they say you can't talk through them too, that's true. But I wasn't at that point yet, so I was just like, yeah, I think this is happening. Because I started like moving around and rocking whenever I would feel the contraction come on, like, and that's just to distract you from the pain, just like moving, you know, doing something. I had to go pick up my mom at the airport, so I had a lot to do. And this is like normal for me. I'm very active. I'm always doing something. I don't take naps during the day unless I like absolutely have to. So I had to pick my mom, and my aunt was like, is there someone else who could do that? Because, you know, you seem like you need to go to the doctor, or, you know, go call labor and delivery. And she worked in a hospital, so she like knows all about that stuff. She was like, you should probably have someone else do the rest of your duties for the evening. And I was like, no, you know, I'm good. Even though the contractions were strengthening, I was like, I'm good. So I picked up my mom, and for some reason, like, you know how like you gotta go to the bathroom, either one or two, it don't matter, and you're like pulling up to your house or somewhere where you can use the toilet, and you just gotta go, like, it's like, all right, I gotta go. Like, your body knows it's gonna release soon. So whenever I picked up my mom, my body just knew that, like, it was kind of like relieved, because when I called her, I was like, you might want to drive. And she was like, you know, are you good? I was like, I'm not sure, maybe. But as soon as I pulled up and she got in the car, I was like, nah. So on the way back, we're on the freeway, and I was like, really like, like it was getting intense. So I get home, Hector's there, he gets Taco Bell, because I was like, if I go into labor tonight, I want to make sure there's something in my stomach. But I really wasn't hungry for anything, you know what I mean? Like, but I still wanted to eat. I know Taco Bell is like not the healthiest, but I was just like, just get anything. So I had some Taco Bell, and my mom stayed while he went to go get food. And then when he got back, she was like, I'm gonna go get some sleep, because she had just got back from Mexico, and so she needed her rest. And my contractions got worse. Like, it was about like 11 o'clock, and I was like, okay, this is getting a little serious. Maybe I should call somebody. So I called labor and delivery, and she was like, honestly, if you could talk through your contractions, and if you could talk through them, and you know, you're obviously talking to me on the phone, like, I think you're okay. Come in about 2 hours. So I was like, I don't know how to measure this. Like I said, I have a high pain tolerance. So the only thing I could think to do, and I recommend this for you, for all you ladies out there who don't know how to measure, like, okay, is this as bad as it's gonna get, like, as far as the contractions? I really suggest getting a contraction counter, because that'll let you know more than anything when your contractions are getting stronger, because it records them. So say like you put it in at 11 o'clock, like I did, and then by 2 hours later, you know, roughly 2 hours later, you can go back and see, like, okay, they were 20 minutes apart, and then now they're 5 minutes apart. And it kind of gives you a better idea, because I feel like my contractions stayed the same pain, but they just got closer. So it wasn't like, okay, it's getting worse, it's getting worse, it's getting worse. It did in a way, but I don't know. I just felt like, what am I don't know what to do. Like, someone help me, please. And it was just Hector and I, and he's not a woman, so he doesn't really know, you know. It would take someone who has had a child to be like, okay, I remember that. Like, yeah, you're getting close. But I didn't have that. My mom was resting at her house. She was, you know, before the baby came. And I didn't call nobody. I mean, my other aunt was actually the one that's in the video. She played the role as my doula, which she was excellent. She told me to call her anytime, but you know, I don't know, I just wasn't thinking. So what I recommend, like I said, is a contraction counter. It looks like that, and I don't know if they updated it, but this is what it looks like. I recommend that, and like I said, you just put your info in and just kind of look back at it and see where you're at as far as your contraction strength. But I think it was about 1 o'clock when I was like, all right, like I can't talk, and I didn't even want to hear anybody talk. Don't breathe, don't eat, don't tap nothing, don't do nothing. Just be quiet. Just don't exist for like 30 seconds, okay? So that's when I knew that I was near, and so I was like, I'm gonna call and tell them that I'm on my way, because I'm not sure how this is gonna go. When I got there, I was 5 centimeters dilated, and I was like, wow, like I was 0. So whenever I did go to the doctors to get my membrane swept, whatever, I wasn't even 2 centimeters dilated. I was like half a centimeter or something crazy like that, where it was like I didn't see like a baby in the future as far as the weekend or whatever. I was just like in the dark. So to be 5 centimeters when you go in was like, wow. So stripping your membranes, it does work, but not saying it works for everybody. Do you know what I mean? Because I was like no action before that, and then all of a sudden when she did that, those little cramps were like the very, 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 very early stages of labor. I sat in that little room, like when you go into the triage or whatever. I was in that little room, and she was like touching my stomach, trying to see how big the baby might be, and she said, I'd say no more than 7 pounds, you know, like around 7. They got my room ready and everything, and I got in there. They gave me an IV for my antibiotic because I had strep B or whatever, you know, strep B. I need antibiotics for that. So I still have the scar too, because that was a fat needle. Like that was a fat ass needle, and I don't like needles, but I had to get it. So they put me on that, and I was in the bed, and I was having contractions like crazy, and I had my legs crossed. Like, these are my hands obviously, but I can't show my feet. So my legs were crossed, and the midwife came in and was like, sweetie, I'm gonna be honest with you, ain't no baby coming through there if you got your legs crossed like that. Like, you need to uncross your legs, open your legs wide, and just like mind over matter. Just picture the baby just like working its way down until, you know, you have the baby. But she was like, you need to uncross your legs, because that ain't about to do nothing for nobody, basically. And I really enjoyed my stay there because like during the labor process, because those midwives were dope. Like, they were really mind over matter. They didn't ask me if I wanted an epidural. They didn't ask me nothing. Like, that's what I like. I like when people have confidence in you, because I said in my little request for my special request for before you go into labor, you have to fill it out and give it to them. And I said I didn't want an epidural, like I want a natural birth, and they did not ask me nothing. I was kind of feeling like hopeless a little bit because the contractions started getting really bad. But it's like not painful, it's just uncomfortable. It's like the most uncomfortable feeling ever. Like, it wasn't pain, it was just like, what the hell? Like, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. But I asked for the gas, like the not laughing gas, like I guess it's supposed to help you in some way. It's like some kind of gas. So I like breathed it in, and then the mask that you put on was like vibrating and like rumbling on my face. And I was like, I'm not doing this, because it was, whenever you're going through your contractions, it's already like uncomfortable. So whenever something, I don't even know how to explain it other than whenever you are going through contractions, or you hear something like someone can be talking or making a noise, or something can be touching you, and you just like stop, like fuck, like stop. Like that's how I felt with that thing. It was just like, this is annoying as shit. So I said that, I was like, it's fucking annoying. So I wasn't rude to the staff or anything. I was just like, I kind of set it low, like, this is fucking annoying. So I just put it to the side, and I was like, I don't even want that. It just wasn't doing anything. And whenever I breathed in, like I said, it was like hella like rattling on my face. And that was just like, we're not doing that. So I just had to tough it out. And as you can see in the video, I was on my knees. And the best thing I can tell you to do is just to make the noises. And I'll do a video on how to cope with natural labor contractions and all that stuff, because that's like a whole another video in itself. But I was on my knees, and I told them I want to deliver on my knees. And I was on my knees for a little bit, like over the bed, and that did seem to help. But the baby Isla's heart rate was dropping a little bit, and she wasn't moving, like it wasn't helping anything. So I was just on my knees going through going through the uncomfortable feeling of the contractions, but nothing was happening. So why waste all that energy? Because you really do need all your energy at the end. And so they told me to just lay on my side or lay on my back again and try, but nothing was happening. And then the midwife suggested, why don't you turn on your side a little bit to the left? And I know I'm skipping some. She said, lay on your side. And at this time, they checked me a few times. And at this time, I was 7 centimeters and almost 8. And she flipped me on my left side. And you can hear it on the monitor. It went vroom. And I was like, what the heck? And I felt it. And then all of a sudden, all this pressure. Like, people say it feels like you have to go poop. Hell no. Like, that's the biggest shit. No. It feels like just pressure, just like something like, say like if you had a bowling ball in your stomach and you're trying to poop out a bowling ball, like that's what it would feel like. But it was like pressure in between your, like, you know, like that muscle in between your butt and your vagina, like that area right there, like that's where all that pressure was. And I was like, I was holding on to the rail, and I was like, I feel pressure. And then my aunt was like, you feel pressure? I'm like, yes, I have to push. Like, you have no choice. When they say don't push yet, you don't have a choice. Like, that baby is coming, and you can feel the pressure and the baby like descending and getting ready to come out. So I just had to start pushing a little bit. But she was like, just do some practice pushes. And that's whenever my water, I think my water broke before I started feeling the pressure, but that's what you see in the video that squirts out. My water broke like as soon as I started feeling pressure. And I was like, I had my legs open, and I just started pushing, and they were counting. And by that time, whenever I started pushing, the contraction pain like went away. Like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, it was almost like, okay, the epidural is really just for laboring, because when you start the delivery process, like it goes away. It didn't even compare to the pain or the discomfort with going through the contractions. And then even my doctor that I normally had, she at my medical office, she does deliver babies, and she was gonna deliver Isla, but she's off on Fridays, so I didn't get to have her. So this is like 11 o'clock in the morning. I got there at like 1 something. 11 o'clock in the morning is the time I start push. Well, it was like 10 something in the morning where I started pushing. I started pushing, and the doctor was like, and she was so sweet. She was like, doesn't it feel a lot better? Like, when you start pushing, you notice the discomfort goes away. I was like, yeah, like, so I'm basically gonna have a baby without any medication. And because like that's crazy. I don't know, I expected it to hurt more when you push. Anyway, so I had my legs open, and they didn't tell me they were gonna do this, they just started doing it. And I guess that they have like mineral oil that they pour over, like all over your vagina, so whenever you're pushing, because you do feel that ring of fire, it's like your skin stretching and stretching and stretching, and whenever it's stretching like that, it burns. So they poured mineral oil so it wouldn't burn as bad. And yeah. I'm just thinking, like, when I'm talking, I have visuals because people showed me, or my mom showed me videos of what it really looked like, because she had her phone. So I had the mineral oil, and as I was pushing, she was like, wait, and I think in the video you can hear, she was like, we have a hand. So Isla was coming out like this, like her head, and then her little fingers were coming out too. So she had to tell me to stop pushing, and she pushed her hand back in, and then she came out, she popped her little head out, and then, yeah, I pushed her out. Like, once the head's out, like, it's so, like, you're pretty much done. You just gotta give it that one big push. And I tore, but what I liked about my doctor, and maybe you can mention this whenever you're, before you get into the crazy part where you don't want to talk or can't talk, is tell them you want to be able to tear on your own. Because she didn't give me the episiotomy, which is whenever they cut you before you tear. And she did that because she said whenever you cut, you may cut more than what the patient is going to tear. So if she were to give me a episiotomy, she could have cut way more than I needed. And why even do that? Because that's more stitches and more healing that you have to go through. So she actually allowed me to tear on my own. And she finds it's a doctor. She's a doctor, so she finds that it works better that way. So maybe you can mention that. Like, you don't want an episiotomy, you just want to tear on your own. Because if you think about it, however you tear, you're gonna tear, whether they give you an episiotomy or not. So that was a really cool thing, because she said that I didn't tear that bad. And I did have to get stitches, and I got stitches unmedicated, because she was like, I'm sorry, like, I can't give you anything, because she had like, as I was tearing, she had like 3 little shots like that. It's like numbing right there. And she could only give me, I think, 2, or she gave me a little bit, and she was like, I can't give you any more. And I didn't know that she was doing that, because I'm sure they told me, but I just, your mind is like so many other places. And she said, I can't give you any numbing, and it doesn't like numb everything, and you're just like, oh, I don't feel anything. It just kind of soothes a little bit. I had to push my placenta out after Isla came out, and that was like nothing. Barely felt that. I just had to give a little push. And Hector cut Isla's cord, and I was turning my head because I was like, I don't want to see that. That's like gross. Even though I'm the one pushing a baby out and there's blood everywhere, I didn't want to see that. And we kept the cord on for a little bit, but we didn't do anything like wild. We just cut it. And Kaiser, I like Kaiser because they are all for like the natural thing. So they did let the cord stay on for a little bit, just so whatever blood is in there goes in her, but the baby can only get so much. Or I heard that like it can actually have bad side effects if the baby takes too much blood in. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, that's just what I heard. And yeah, it was a really cool experience. When I saw Isla, when they put her on me, I was just like, What is this thing? Like, it's weird to see the baby, especially if that was my first baby. So to see a baby that was in your stomach, like that's a real thing in your stomach moving around. And to see it in real life was like, the hell? I can tell you it wasn't love at first sight. I was like checking her fingers if she got everything. But yeah, if I left anything out, I'll be sure to add it in my next video. I want to do a video on how to cope with labor pains and delivery. Like and subscribe to this video. I apologize if it's a little watered down because I'm having sinus issues, but I wanted to get this video up here so you guys can like get back on board with me. I really wanted to do this video because there's so many questions, and as far as there being a lot of people in the room, that's one thing I forgot to mention. There was a lot of people in the room because they asked me if I mind that there be doctors or whoever they were in training. So they had people that were in training and they asked if I minded, and I was like, I don't care, just get this baby out. So that's why there's all those people in there. I'm the type of person where I don't care. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of like an open book sometimes where like I don't care if like everybody's in the room, just like no dads and no father-in-laws and uncles. Like, I don't want that. But if you're a doctor, you know, and you're in the medical field and you're training, you know, or you're someone who's bringing instruments in or whatever, that's fine. That didn't bother me, because I know in the comments a lot of you guys were like, oh my god, that's way too many people. Well, whoever was in there, they asked me. They did not just bring all those people in there unannounced. So that doesn't make sense. Like, they always communicate with you, like, who's gonna be in the room. And anyone you bring in the room, you obviously allowed. So I noticed that it's a lot of women saying that who don't have kids yet, who are pregnant and waiting in line to give birth. Just know that they don't bring people in there without your permission. So there you have it. Like and subscribe to this channel, La Vida Lopez, and click the bell notification. You can check out my Instagram down below, and I'll see you in the next video.